It's the London Lowdown.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the London Lowdown podcast, which is a branch of the weekly Armchair Kickoff. I'm joined this evening by podcast regulars Jack Clemson and William Bryant, and podcast founder Keane. How are you doing this evening, guys?
Pretty good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, no, all good. Ready for a bit of Champions League action after the podcast. 2 games on tonight and that as well. How are you, Keane?
Liverpool are playing, are they?
Yeah, Liverpool are on, 7:45, so 10 minutes till kick off.
All right.
Hopefully getting beaten, yeah. So, obviously, we had the 2 London clubs here represented in the podcast, and then Manchester United with Keane. So William is an Arsenal fan, guys, and then myself and Jack are 2 Chelsea fans. We're just going to be going over a lot of stuff about the London clubs here in this podcast, and we're going to start off with reviewing the results of the weekend. I'll just go to you, Jack, first as a fellow Chelsea fan. With recent results under Tuchel and the result of the weekend, how are you feeling?
Really positive, actually. Obviously, everyone knows what Lampard means to Chelsea, and I was upset to see him go. Obviously, there's that kind of affinity with the club and with the fans, and we all adore him. At the time when they got rid of him, I thought it was probably the wrong decision, and I was still completely for it. But having seen the change in kind of formation, the change in the way our team is playing, the kind of enthusiasm that Tuchel shows on the line when these interviews after the match, before the match, it's really, really kind of opened my eyes maybe, and shown maybe that Lampard maybe doesn't have the tactical knowledge that a more experienced manager like Tuchel, say, has. And also that just because you're probably the best midfielder the league has ever had doesn't mean that you're going to be the best manager that the league has ever had either. But it's been really good. It's been really fun watching Chelsea play again for the last few games. Last night, first half was really, really good. I thought there's still signs. I don't know if you've noticed watching the games much, Sean, that Chelsea always kind of have a lot of possession. They're fairly well at passing the ball, but we just don't create any real substantial chances. When's the last time we just absolutely walked all over a team, scoring, just 4 or 5 goals? We just don't do it anymore. It can be quite frustrating, and I don't think that's necessarily just under Tuchel, but that's been under our last few managers. Sarri was the same. Lampard's been the same. I know we're a few games in, and even Tuchel was kind of alluded to the fact that our, we create chances, but we just don't. We don't create good chances, should I say? We have a lot of possession in the box, in and around the box, but we don't do anything with it.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. Last night was a prime example of it. I think, watching it now, I was thinking, we're not clinical enough. We're missing plenty of chances in that. But, the chances that we were missing were kind of like you said, they're kind of half chances. They're not, I don't know, they're not, dead on. You think it's a dead cert for a goal. Say the one where Werner kind of caught it in a half volley, stuck it over the bar, that, looking at that in lifetime, you're thinking, should have finished it. But then you see the replay, you see the bounce and that. It's just not, they're not clear-cut chances, but yeah, I'm just hoping they eventually just come in time, with more training under Tuchel. But you kind of hit the nail on the head there with Sarri, the team is it's really well drilled. A lot of phases of play there, we're drilled into the team, and that under Lampard we didn't really blow anyone away either. And with Tuchel, kind of the one thing I did notice last night, we got the second goal, I was kind of thinking, right, drive on here and we can finally beat the team by 5 or 6 goals. And kind of notice the same pattern with the few games before. When we do score the 1 or 2 goals, I'm kind of comfortable. I don't think we're going to be beat at that stage. It's the team has total control of the game, but we're not fully killing the teams off. Spurs, we missed a few chances in the first half of the Spurs game. It could have been more than one. And then look at the last 10 minutes. Obviously, they could have turned the game on its head, and they didn't kick a ball all game until the 80th minute. Really,
you don't really kick a ball.
We draw pressure on ourselves. Sorry, we just draw pressure on ourselves, and that's the problem. We sit back when we should be killing teams off, and even at 2-0, although we look comfortable, we still look like, I think even Tuchel said it, within the first couple of minutes they had of the second half, where they had, I think, 3 for the whole of the first half. You know, we just invite pressure on ourselves.
Yeah.
And if Newcastle got an early goal in that second half, it could have been a completely different game. And that's the typical Chelsea that's been there for a few years now. And it can be frustrating watching it as a supporter, you know?
Yeah, I think the Atletico Madrid game is going to be such a cagey affair. Like, just both teams are kind of similar.
It's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, it's very tough, but it's just, like you said there, like, they kind of, like, when they got the goal or two, Chelsea, they kind of sit back, and I think Atletico would nearly do the same, so it's going to be interesting to see that, yeah.
We don't have good luck against them, though. That's the only thing. They've turned us over a few times in the last few years.
Yeah, we've only beaten them once. I think we're the last team to beat them in their own stadium, the last English club to beat them there. But like you said before that, when they beat us in the semi-finals when we had Mourinho there, they turned us over. They're handy over 2 legs, like so.
We were, and then remember when they beat us in I think it was the Super Cup. Was it the Super Cup final a few years back now? Falcao absolutely made bits of it. I think that was one of the most clinical, best striking displays I've ever seen.
Yeah, I
actually watched it myself.
Yeah, for years I was gobsmacked at that game. Like, everything he was doing was just top notch. Like, but yeah, obviously, another win the weekend into top 4 now. We kind of didn't see it coming this soon. Maybe we thought we might make a push for it under Tuchel, but kind of getting in this soon. Hopefully, we can kind of get a bit of if we can get a win at the weekend against Southampton now. Hopefully, we can get a bit of a gap before we play like the United game and wedged in between Atletico and stuff. So Keane, with United's result at the weekend, obviously you've been on a very big high for a long time now, but there've been 1 or 2 kind of not so good results in the last few weeks. How are you feeling?
Well, this is the first time I've actually had the chance to kind of talk about the game since the weekend, and I suppose it's probably just as well, because I didn't want to be too reactionary, in terms of result. Now, obviously, look, I think when you look at West Brom, they're a team who are 19th in the table. Chelsea went there earlier on in the season and scored 3, and I know they conceded 3, but they scored 3. Mm-hmm. Manchester City went there, scored 5. Arsenal went there, scored 4. Manchester United then go and play 2 defensive midfielders against them. Doesn't make sense. Everton went there and created a lot of chances, and you go there and you play 2 holding midfielders. It just boggles the mind, really. I think the performance was very flat. Again, defence just switched off again, but when you look at that centre-back pairing, Lindelof, Maguire, what more can you expect? The proof's in the pudding. They've been doing that all season. Regardless of the results, look, our attack's bailing us out this year in terms of our form. Like, when you look at players like Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford this year, they've scored the majority of our goals. They've really, carried the team on its back. And obviously, Paul Pogba's recent form from December up until he got injured, like, he's been a fantastic player. Mm-hmm. But you've seen again, the minute he came out the side, the tempo in midfield is absolutely gone with Fred back in there. And I suppose it's very concerning that you see Pogba coming out of the team and Van de Beek still doesn't play. When you pay £40 million for a player like that and he still doesn't get the start, it's really concerning. Is that a signing by Solskjaer? Was it more of an Ed Woodward signing? That's up for debate. You make that of what you will. But again, it's just a moment of magic from Bruno Fernandes with bails us out again. And again, it's another moment where it's a fantastic first-time penalty finish. Just have to get that in there. But in terms of the result, very disappointing considering that's basically after handing the league now to Man City. But I think the only positive I can take from this weekend is the fact of the matter is the other lot down 20 odd miles down the road, the other team in red, dropped points this weekend. And I just like to say I predicted 3-1 as well, and Salah to score as well. It's a pity I didn't put any bets on it because I would have fucking loved it.
Yeah, seeing that clip from the podcast actually where they're getting the spot on, it's always good when they drop points though, when they're getting beaten. Hopefully, like we said, again tonight it happens, but
do you think, Keane, do you think United are on a bit of a downward turn at the moment?
I think, when you look at the results, I think the team, they've done so well for 2.5 months, 3 months, that this has happened a lot under Solskjaer, where we go on a good run for 3 months and then we see downturn results, we drop a couple of points. But I've no doubt that this team can turn it around. It's just a case where we'll get it, we lose a couple, we get a couple of draws, but what we'll do is we'll get on another run. I think that's we're capable of doing that. We've shown that in the last 2 years under Solskjaer. It's just a case of consistency is a problem, and if you want to be to challenge of the league, you have to be consistent. I think probably at this moment, these last couple of games has kind of given us a reality check as a fan base, in terms of what expectations can actually be this season. But at the same time, when you have attackers like Rashford, Fernandes, Edison, and Cavani, you should be beating teams like West Brom and Sheffield United. Mm-hmm. And even, I'm not even disrespecting Arsenal, but Arsenal had a couple of injuries. They had a couple of injuries a couple of weeks ago. We should have put them to the sword, but we didn't. So, like, in that respect, there's no excuse for being where we are at the minute, and those City being ahead in the table. So I think you have to look at it with a realistic standpoint, saying top 4 is probably our ceiling this season, and maybe making a stab at the FA Cup. But I think that's United's ceiling this season.
Yeah, I was literally just about to say it. I think the only kind of defence, like when Jack asked the United on a downward spiral, is that, like, if you asked me to start of the year, I would have never expected them to be in second. So they kind of have a little bit of room for error, I think. Obviously not too much, but like I wouldn't look too much into it. Like with the kind of draw against West Brom and that, like I think
yeah, exactly.
they're putting themselves in a really good position. I wouldn't have expected them to be in second at the start of the year. Like, that's the only thing. And I remember Shane saying in the group chat the other day, asking, does anyone think United could battle top 4? I don't think they will. I know.
I don't think they will, because everyone else around them is not good enough.
Yeah,
and I think that might give them the edge. And again, it's not a dig at United, but the teams around them are not playing that well. You know, a couple of them are, but generally, like the Tottenham, Chelsea's have been poor. Like, do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know what the thing about it is, lads? Right, and it's mad. You're saying that. I am in absolute agreement with you all with regards to it. This Manchester United team has conceded 30 goals in 23 games, and we're second in the league. That just shows how good our attack's been, in a sense that any other season, if our attack wasn't fit and firing, we would be nowhere near second place in the league. I think that's the thing. I think our attack massively bailed us out this year. And without the likes of Rashford and Fernandes, as the stats have shown in the last kind of couple of days, look where we'd be. We'd below Tottenham and Arsenal at the moment. So, like, I think for us, it's very important in the summer that we go out and we buy some defenders, because next season Chelsea are going to be better. Next season Liverpool will be better, as much as we all hate to say it. They're going to be better. And dare I say, maybe Tottenham may be better next year. Maybe Tottenham will be better next year. Maybe Arsenal will be better next year. Another season under Arteta.
But then it's a bit contradictory then for United then, Keane, if you say that you need to go out and shop for a defender when all of your fans, all you're calling for is Jadon Sancho. You know, when you have to address...
I was calling for him last summer, but this... Now, if you look at the trajectory now, it's a centre-back and a holding midfielder. Because obviously you have players like Mason Greenwood, who can develop in that right-wing role. We've recently signed Amad Diallo as well, who can develop into that role. That's not a major concern because we're scoring goals at the minute. Scoring goals is the problem. Defending's our problem.
Yeah, and David Dodd just said there with his comment about Harry Maguire being dog excrement. You've spent so much money on... he's right, though. He's not mobile, and you've spent so much money on him. What are you going to do? You're not going to just get rid of him and lose half his value. So they're going to have to stick with him.
They're going to get a partner for him. That's what's going to happen there. They're going to buy someone to partner him and basically hold his hand at centre back, which is absolutely scandalous when you consider the fact he cost £80 million.
That was a panic buy. It wasn't a panic buy. It was you needed a defender, and they had to do something. And to be fair, Harry Maguire is not the worst player in the world, but you know, when you're thinking, if you look back at some of the teams that have won the league over the last few years, the common denominator is, one, having an absolute solid goalkeeper is an absolute must, and two, having a good defence. Because if your defence is leaky, no matter how many goals you score, it's irrelevant. But again, I don't know why we're talking about Man United.
Yeah, neither do I. Like, you're making me depressed.
So just the last of the teams, then, just to get on to Arsenal, William. So an Alba hat-trick, is he back?
He's slowly getting there, is what I'll say. It was one game that would really suit him, because we're playing against a Leeds United side who aren't going to sit back. They are going to try and attack you, go man for man type defense. So that's going to leave a lot of room for what we chose a very good attacking lineup in terms of very creative players. Arteta sprung a very good surprise on us, playing both Smith Rowe and Odegaard. I can tell you, no fan thought that it was always one or the other, one or the other. Yeah. And you had a mix of all those players that are able to, with an addition of Dani Ceballos in the holding midfield, that can just play a pass here, there, and everywhere. And with the man-to-man, Oba's going to get the chances, and thankfully, he's took him away in this game and gotten a hat-trick. Do I think he'll come back? I hope so, on the basis of being an Arsenal fan. I hope this will kick him on. You saw a bit more confidence once he scored against Newcastle in the FA Cup, even though 120th minute. The very next game, he was a lot more sharp in terms of his movement behind. So I feel like, yeah, he will be better, although he is in a little bit of trouble for apparently getting a tattoo, which is now getting looked at during current COVID rules. So if he's getting back and then he's automatically in a bloody scandal, it isn't exactly what you want from your club captain at the moment. Yeah. But hopefully on the pitch he'll stay solid.
What's that?
It could be worse. It could be fighting people out in the street in the middle of Turkey.
Yeah, no, it could be.
In terms of the performance for the Arsenal game, honestly, I don't think it was even one of our best games compared to the last 3 or 4. I feel like we were playing quite well, but we noticed the missing link in terms of Thomas Partey, in terms of the defensive style. Now, I know Leeds, even if they're 4-0 down, their heads aren't going to drop and they're going to come at you. But you saw, firstly, our organisation from a corner was relatively unusual in the sense that we actually conceded from one. I'm pretty sure that's the second or only third time we've conceded from a set piece all season, which for Arsenal got a lot better when we brought in the new set piece coach. However, Struijk is a bit of a monster in the air. Like, he could have had a hat-trick against Crystal Palace, but it's just how he lost that. And then the second goal was pretty poor defensively as well. Bellerin just totally got done, and it left room then for a runner on. So I was pleased in an attacking sense, but don't get me wrong, when it got to 4-2, I was...
Your bum was flat.
I was having an excrement in me pants, thinking that, oh God, it's going to be another Newcastle game and a 4-4 draw again. But we're going to see how we're going to do once you look at our upcoming fixtures, because, I mean, we've got Benfica midweek, but, I mean, we've got Man City, Leicester, Burnley away, Tottenham in the next day. That is... You're going to see what type of team we are then.
Yeah.
Really.
I'd actually love you to get a few results out of them, because obviously Leicester not there and Spurs and like Arsenal are a type of team that could get results there. Like, no, I just think you're very well organised under Arteta and that. And I know you've had bad runs this year, and like obviously like the league table doesn't really like reflect good on you at the moment, but I think you're well capable of getting results against teams like that. Especially
against Spurs anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying that. Yeah, hopefully, although that's the one I'm most nervous about, because Spurs, no matter how terrible they'll play, they will show up for the North London derby. And it has been a while since we've beaten them, so it would be lovely to get that bread and white. And also, our record against Jose's never been the best. The interesting stat, obviously you say that we had a terrible run of form in November. The interesting stat, if you look at our last 10 games, which obviously starts with the Chelsea game, which is when we ended our run, in the last 10 games, we've gotten 20 points. So you're averaging 2 points a game, which is really good run. If you compare it to when you're saying Man United were playing brilliantly in that time, they've actually only gotten 19 points. So when you look at it and when you consider their, that shows how bad our run was in November and how much it really cost us this season. And it's a shame, because if we didn't have that, we could really be fighting for it. I mean, if you look at it, we're 6 points off of Liverpool, which really should be shorter, because there's no doubt in my mind the referee screwed us, in my opinion, against Wolves. So that should be 3 points. But it's annoying. It feels like another missed opportunity, but it's pretty common over the seasons, unfortunately.
I think I remember we done a podcast kind of at the beginning of the season, and we were kind of talking about our predictions and where we thought kind of the teams would finish and where, who would be sacked first. And I think we all kind of said we all kind of said Arteta, and it's kind of not gone how I expected, to be honest with you.
On the upside, you were saying that, and I remember, sure, we were on the podcast before. I think it was around the Arsenal Chelsea time, or even just before that, and we were talking about managers getting sacked. And I was the only one. It was me, you, and I think Sean Chrissy. And I was the only one to say Lampard will get sacked before Arteta.
How right you were.
About time I can revel in my glory.
Well, Ollie gets sacked as well, but he's still there as well.
He's still there. He's still dragging on. You'll see by the end of the season.
He's the most stressful job in the country, because he's literally always 5 minutes from getting the sack.
Ollie, yeah.
He really
because he might not be like the best manager in the world, and Man United fans, I suppose, by their very nature, are demanding and demand success, which is rightly so. They've been very successful, and they've obviously had the likes of Sir Alex as their manager and been spoilt rotten with great results, great memories, trophies, and then you kind of come to a point where you have the likes of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And look, I'm not his biggest fan in any way, shape, or form. I don't think he is cut out for the big time like that. So I think for him, he probably knows that a little bit as well, and I'd say it must be quite stressful for him, thinking every time there's a bad result,
he's
the
United. Every week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't envy him, but look, he's, to be fair to him, he's survived this long, and maybe he'll surprise us all yet.
Yeah, Keane, just on Ole now, we're looking forward like kind of to United's run of games, and how do you see United faring in the next kind of few games coming up next few weeks? Do you think they're gonna have a turnaround from the draw against West Brom and kick off where they were going the last few weeks, or what do you think?
Well, you kind of look at United's kind of upcoming fixtures. Obviously, the Europa League and Thursday against Sociedad. You'd like to think we make wholesale changes. I don't believe it, though. I think we're going to play our first team, which could be detrimental. So for me, I think the Europa League will be probably an opportunity to play some other players, likes of Greenwood, who hasn't had much game time. Maybe give Martial a few minutes, because he needs to pick up his form big time. My God. And obviously players like Matic and players like who can come in and need minutes.
Keane, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you there, but just on your point before we move on, you just said about Martial needs to pick up his boots. At what point do we say, or particularly United fans say, he's actually just not good enough?
Oh, I've said that. I've quoted on the United show last week. I said his time is probably up in terms of being United's number 9, but in terms of this season, in terms of he needs to contribute still. He's long term, he's probably not going to be United's number 9, but at the moment, you have to manage your squad. You have to give your best players a rest. Rashford needs to be rested. Martial needs to play. It's needs must in that regard. You don't run down your players. I think that's very important. We've seen it last year, at the back end of last year. I know we finished top 4 along with Chelsea last year, but you've seen in the last couple of games last year when the Europa League came back after the lockdown, after the couple of league games were played, that the same 11 was being played, and towards the end of the season, fatigue set in. I think that's already setting in without the Europa League even happening. So, I think for me, you have to make wholesale changes. Now, in the summer, I think Martial goes. I think that has to happen. I think with Diallo coming in, obviously we may go back in for Sancho. That could happen. So, where does Martial fit in? I think that's very important to look at. And a player like that, he's had 5-6 years now. We signed him in 2015. Is he long term going to be a Manchester United striker? No. He doesn't deal well with competition. We've seen the minute Cavani came in, he's after dropping his head. So, at the end of the day, what's that say about his mentality? I think that's, never mind the quality, because we all know the quality is there. But in terms of mentality, what's that say about his mentality with the minute a bit of competition comes in, till he downs tools? So I think that's another thing. But going back to the fixtures anyway, I think you look at this week, the Sociedad and then Newcastle on the weekend. Newcastle fighting for their lives, a team that's going to play with a low block. You have to be ambitious. I think we have to go there and we have to attack. And obviously we've Chelsea next week then as well. So and then obviously the Europa League's in between that and the Manchester Derby. So look, to answer your question, results need to pick up. Do I think they are? I'm unsure because they're all tough games. Like Chelsea have the new manager bounce at the moment with Thomas Tuchel. They're on a bit of form. Like let's make no mistake about it. Chelsea are very good at getting a new manager bounce. They do it every single time they sack a manager. There's a period where it's 12 months or 18 months when that new manager comes in and Chelsea's form is great. We've seen it when they sacked AVB. Di Matteo came in and, he went in, won the FA Cup and Champions League. You've seen it when they sacked him. Sorry?
We always win a trophy when we sack our
We always win a trophy. And I think, look, it's very important to look at that. Chelsea's model in terms of, like, when things are going bad, they do so well in terms of rectifying it. They get. It's not even so much a quick fix, but they go in and they identify a body to come in, get a style of football implemented, win a couple of trophies. Then if it's not working, move them on. It's efficient. I think that's one key word you use with how Chelsea run their club. It's efficiency. Expensive, but efficient, right? When you look at Chelsea since 2003, they've been the most successful team in England, right? Let's not kid ourselves here, right? When you look at the amount of trophies won. Now, obviously, being a United fan, for me, that's not easy to say, but you have to be honest. You look when they're not successful. When Mourinho came back for his second term, went and won the league in quite convincing fashion. Next season, things went south. There was it was a 10th in the league, Jack, was it? Something like that. 11th, something like that. They sacked him, brought in Goose Hiddink, steadied the ship, and then brought in Antonio Conte. And Conte, in my opinion, was unfairly sacked. He won the league and then won the FA Cup the following year because I remember being at the game. I remember I had a few days off work and Jack had about 40 emails ready for me coming back to work. He had my head photoshopped onto, what's your man's name? Prince William or someone, his head. He had my head photoshopped onto Phil Jones and everything. But when you actually look at Chelsea, like in terms of their model, it's so good in terms of being successful, like in terms of demanding success. Now, did I agree to Frank Lampard sacking? I probably thought he needed a bit more time. I thought it was harsh, but you're looking at the new manager bounce now. The proof's in the pudding, no matter how harsh you might think it is. The proof's in the pudding. When they know a change is needed, they do it, and they do it a drop of a hat. You have to commend them for that. I think what United and Arsenal are trying to do at the moment, they're trying to go with a longer term vision. They're trying to go with a different model of Chelsea. You can see Arsenal going for that self-sustaining model. They've done it since they went into the Emirates. They're a long-term thinking club. Sometimes their owners can leave them down. I think, look, it's very well documented. Like Stan Kroenke leaves Arsenal down from time to time. United with the Glazers the same. But you look at them two clubs. They give managers time, and they do give them some time and confidence to work with their squad. Now, is that as successful as Chelsea in recent years? No. But they are trying to adhere to their traditions. But at the same time, success is what's the most important thing. And maybe, I remember I said at the start of the season on our weekly armchair kickoff and Premier League season preview, I actually predicted Chelsea to win the league this year, which is everyone laughed at me. But next season, I don't think I could be too wrong with that, because if Tuchel gets a stab at it, and me and William actually talked months ago about Thomas Tuchel. We didn't rate him. Jack and Sean, what me and William said it, that we didn't rate him. But he's come in, you've seen he's actually making Chelsea more lively in terms of pressing and counter-pressing, and they've been more attacking. Brilliant. He's picked Callum Hudson-Odoi in a more advanced kind of wing-back role, which we haven't seen him in before, and he's rediscovering the form that he had when he first broke into Chelsea's team. When you look at other players like Timo Werner, he's after getting on the score sheet now. Will he reinvigorate Timo Werner? I think that remains to be seen.
He's man of the match in his last two games. Even before the goal, he's been playing out of his socks. His
contributions have won us 9 points in the last 4 games.
He's been brilliant. Like
between winning penalties, assists, goals, he's been very good. And straight away you can see, everyone kind of knew all year, but Lampard just didn't seem to kind of know what way to put his team. But everyone was calling for Werner to be playing off someone else, and you can see now, even Abraham was there last night, or Giroud, and Werner was there to play off him, play in the space, and it's working wonders for him.
Maybe think Giroud is the most underrated striker in the Premier League. I think he is.
Who's that? Sorry, Giroud.
Do you think he's underrated?
He's
He's
very
massively
underrated.
underrated.
Very
But
underrated.
he's massively underrated.
At
And
Arsenal,
what he does is
wasn't
he's very niche. He's very niche in what he brings to a team and what he does. But he does it so well. Like his finishing he's one of the best finishers in the league. And I think having a player like Werner who likes to drift out and play in spaces and run at people is a compliment. And then to think that on the other side you have the likes of Callum Hudson-Odoi, who looks like he's been a natural wing back all his life. He's just been playing out of his skin, like I say. And I don't know if you've noticed, Sean, and I said this yesterday, is that I've seen a few interviews with some of the players, and they've kind of inadvertently suggested that how confident and happy they've been in the last month.
Yeah.
And that kind of, it kind of shows to me is that there was obviously a lot going on behind the scenes that we didn't know about.
Yeah.
And you could see the likes of, just real quick, the likes of Callum Hudson-Odoi when he didn't get much time under Lampard, which was very strange because he's a really good player. And when he did get a chance, he was I thought he was finished. I actually thought he was finished. But I think he's just been amazing. I think for him, this change of manager has been the best thing, and I think we're going to see him a lot more. Shame for James, maybe. But.
Yeah, no, I was just about to say, like you said there at the interviews, and they inadvertently it kind of reflects bad on Lampard. But the one I was most surprised with was Reece James, because he's usually quiet in that and kind of keeps himself. He had an interview, and he inadvertently kind of said stuff as well, and it was like kind of like there was stuff going on there behind with Lampard and that, and he just, I know there was problems there, but I was very surprised with that one. But like, I don't think like he has the tools, Reece James, to play as a wing back, but I think, like, obviously, I think maybe in the summer with the pre-season, we might end up going to a back four. Yeah, back four, and he might be a right back there. But whenever we're playing with this three at the back, I think he's literally perfect for the role Azpilicueta is playing. The three and that centre back is the centre backs in the back three kind of go forward. Like he in the cup he played Emerson there, tried to get him into it. Obviously, he didn't really do too well in that cup game, but like. You see Asby in that bombing forward, they're kind of going up the field. So I think Reece James could suit that position very well. But ultimately, I think after the summer pre-season, I think we could try and go to that back four with James there. And obviously, Alonso might be too good in the back four, but you have Chilwell there. He needs to improve a lot.
But there was talk of Reece James being moved into the centre.
Yeah.
Going forward as well. So... like, I wouldn't be adverse to that because I think he's such a good player that he could probably adapt to playing anywhere on the field. To be honest, I think he could. I could think he could even play. He could play higher up in the midfield three.
Yeah,
because he's good at running with players. He's good with the ball at his feet. He can cross a ball.
He can defend. I was at the Everton game last year, just right the weekend before lockdown, and he came on as a sub that day in defensive midfield, and I've never seen that like it. No, kind of. Like a young player to come in, it's not even how tough and how strong he is, but he's just so composed on the ball and just he sees everything. He was so good, like he can play anywhere. I think anywhere.
Yeah.
See Tyrone's comment there, which is with regards to Tuchel. Tyrone says Tuchel has to win something every season to stay at Chelsea. If he survives more than 18 months, of course.
No, he doesn't. No. Like
I think
he has to progress. This season, if he doesn't win anything this season, he's not going to lose his job. He has to show progression. Absolutely, he's right. And look, every manager is under the same pressure. And Tuchel don't strike me as a sort of manager that's coming into this job and not realizing what he's taking on.
Yeah.
And he's even said it enough times. The pressure is there for this job.
That's the point Jennifer made in the comments as well about Lampard. Like he knew what he was getting into coming in as well. Like so. Like it's fairly obvious with Chelsea what you're getting when you come in there. But like you said there, Jack, I don't think Tuchel has to win something every year. I think this year, if he gets top four this year, it's a very good achievement. And like the way we're well more organised and like we're tough to beat now, I think that'll reflect well. Like I was saying, my expectations like between now and the end of the year is just make us look a lot better and like make us attractive for like. So if he wants to improve the team in the summer, like what sort of players he wants to bring in, so they can look at us and say, right, they're a team on the up, they're a young team, but like obviously they're going to build on it in the summer, and like they're going to like have a title challenge next year. Now I think so. Tyrone,
and from what I can gather from what I can gather from Tuchel as well is, Sean, is that he's not a long-term manager anyway.
Yeah.
In terms of from seemingly he falls out with the hierarchy a lot, and you could tell he's a kind of confrontational type of person. He wants things his own way and done in a certain way. So I don't know if this is the long-term option or not. I don't know, but look, we'll see. Look, we win things if we sack managers anyway. So look, that won't change.
Yeah. Tyrone was asking as well about Ziyech. He thinks he's asking, do we think he was struggling because his role is to just cross and not work the ball forward? I think the type of player that Ziyech is like he's like, he reminds me a lot. Like obviously he's not to the level of Bruno, but like he tries to make things happen, and if it doesn't happen 3 or 4 times in a row, he'll try it the 5th time. I think the problem with Lampard, like you said, we didn't know what way the team was going to be playing, or he didn't know how to set up and stuff, and like with all the new players coming in. But like now under Tuchel, if he does eventually get into the team in one of those 10 rows, I think that you'll have Werner in his more natural position, who's going to be making them runs in behind, and you're going to have your wing backs like you see in there against Newcastle. Alonso and Werner were kind of swapping, so Alonso was taking the inside sometimes, and the other times he was overlapping on the outside, getting to the back post. I think that suits Ziyech a lot more because his crossing is exceptional. Like he can pick anyone out with him, but I think if he does,
he's good at running with the ball though as well.
Yeah, he is. But like he's very good at running with the ball. But Tyrone did touch off it. Like under Lampard, he didn't run as much as he could with the ball.
Was that about tactics?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. I don't think it's up to him at all. I think he was told. We played against Ajax last year, or 2 years ago in the Champions League, and he's seen the damage he done with his left foot. And I think Lampard was asking him to do that time and time again. But I think if he does break into this 11,
it was very route one with Chelsea. Wasn't it? It was very route one under Lampard. It was get the ball out wide, cross it in, hope for the best. Almost that was the formation that we played. And I think
100%.
we've got away from that completely. Now it's working the ball into box, creating spaces, looking for openings, playing the ball in. It's completely different. Maybe Ziyech, because he hasn't really played under Tuchel. So whether it's a case of adapting, is it a case that, well, actually, Callum Hudson-Odoi and is playing better down that side of the wing. I know he's not paying. Well, he paid right forward once, but is it a case that he prefers different options? And he said it himself. I've gone for experience a lot of the time as well. Some of the positions, and it's just worked. He never planned on playing 3 at the back. It just coincidentally it's worked out for him. So why change it?
Yeah. It's just whether he gets into the team or not now, because obviously Werner is playing very well in that 10 role, and like Mount is playing very well. I've been a critic of Mount plenty of times before. I know he's a fantastic player, but like I have criticised him plenty of times before. But under Tuchel, I think he's been so good, very good.
Greatest player of all time. Greatest player of all time. That man won't lose his space to no one.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's under. I know everyone says that he's Southgate's Pep, but he gets in the England team. He got in under Lampard, and he's getting in under Tuchel again. And it's not like Chelsea are starved of players in that position. Like they've got plenty of options there. Yeah, but I just think he's beginning to be a bit underrated. In the group chat we talked about last week, there was 4. Obviously, the 4 kind of attacking midfielders there for England. If you bring 3, who are you bringing? Like the majority of the group chat went to not bring Mount. I think he needs to go. I think I'd have him, and obviously Foden is the most talented out of the 4. He's first on the plane, I think. But like I think Mount has to go in that 3. Has to go to the Euros.
Who drops out?
Maddison for me.
No, but I wouldn't play Foden. I mean, he hasn't played enough football compared to the other lads. He's not playing week in and week out like the other lads. Now he's got a bit more game time. No, can I just say, like, that's a recent development in the last little while. He hasn't, like, if you compare the amount of football he's had over the last season and a half, he's had nowhere near as much as the other lads have had. I'm not saying he's a terrific player. He's fantastic. He's a world beater, but like he hasn't got the what's the word? He hasn't like with Mason Mount. It's what he lacks within talent. Maybe he makes up with his mental toughness, and he has played himself into that team. And people said, "Oh, it's only because of Lampard, but Lampard's gone now, and he's played himself in that team, and he's been indispensable, and he's been one of our best players. It's not one of the players that you just named in the England lineup that give more energy and intensity than Mason Mount gives. I'm not saying he might not have the natural ability that the others have, but I'd take him any day of the week.
What I was going to touch on there, out of the four players there, like he's not the most talented, like out and out talented out of the four, but I think he offers something that none of the other three do, and it's the link up that he offers between midfield and attack. I just think, and the work rate that he has in there, I think it's just the only difference between them. Like, but like if one had to go for me, it would be Maddison. But like if I had to take preference, what I do if I was obviously going over there, I think I'd be taking all four, but there would be a winger that could be dropping out because Grealish can play on the wing as well. That's the only way I'm thinking. Like, I think Grealish and Foden have to go, and I think Mount has to go. So I don't know.
Tough one. Let Southgate worry about that.
Yeah.
We'll just look forward to getting knocked out in the semis.
Yeah, that's probably going to happen yet again. Well, as long as Southgate's there, like.
Scotland and Andy Robertson not beat you in the group stage.
So William, just with the looking forward for Arsenal, obviously you said they have a few tough games coming up. You expecting much out of those games?
Cautiously optimistic. I'm not expecting anything against Man City, if I'm being honest. I'm not even really expecting a goal, because anytime we go there, we've never been able to score against a City defense, and that's one that's been more open. This year they've only conceded 13 goals in 23 games, which is incredible stat. Their defense is just not the improvement. The ability to bring in a player like Ruben Diaz just totally has changed their team. And I'll be honest, I hadn't properly heard of him. I don't follow, like, he came from Sporting Lisbon, isn't it? I don't follow. Oh, Benfica. Yeah. At least I knew it was in the Portuguese league.
I
don't watch Portuguese football, so
I've seen him playing youth league against Chelsea, and he was very good in rage. Like he was kind of like one of the top ones in the world in rage. But like I haven't watched him play much for Benfica. Go ahead there. Sorry,
no, you're grand. For Pep to actually take the risk and bring him in for what wasn't a little piece of money, like it wasn't substantial, but it was still a good bit of money for this relatively unknown and unproven defender, and for it to actually work out for him, because considering Pep has not had the best of luck in terms of buying defenders in the past.
So he spent $1 billion on him.
Yeah, like he spent so much on him and it never seemed to work, but this time it actually worked for him. So yeah, against Man City, I don't expect really anything. I can be hopeful, but like last time we played them, we got a 1-0 loss. It was, and Raheem Sterling scored, and I thought we were quite unlucky. But even Kevin De Bruyne is back in full training, so if he's on the bench, like him coming on to improve, to actually improve the City side, that's worrying. Other than that, yeah, Leicester are playing well, but it's a game I always feel like we can get something out from as a fan. But we haven't normally in the past, but it's always one I will get up for and feel like, yeah, come on, we can beat Leicester. Because even the year they won the title was the year we beat them twice. We were the only team to beat them twice. I'm hopeful we can do something there. We'll see. Hopefully they get an injury or two. Indeed, he gets back out. Obviously, James Justin will be a big enough miss for him. I know they have the defenders to fill in, but he will still be a massive loss, because I was feeling like he could get into the England side the way he was playing.
Yeah, definitely.
In left back, who would be him and Luke Shaw. So I'm hoping we can get something from Leicester. I feel like even though Burnley away is difficult, that's a game we have to win. Then we've the North London derby. always get nervous about a North London derby. Also get more nervous that the team that usually wins the North London derby goes on and does absolutely terrible and has a North London derby hangover for the next 3 weeks. So if we go on and win that, then it's a bit worrying. If we go on and lose that, well, then I can't listen to group chat for a week.
Yeah, Steve McGrath will be coming for you if you lose that game. You'll have to mute your phone. Definitely.
There's a chance, like, if we lose it, like, when you're looking at our games, we could be going into that game. If we beat them, we could be going ahead of them in the league. It would be that type of game. If we lose it, we could go 6 points behind them with even harder hopes of Europa League. And then you've also got West Ham, who are in good form, but we managed to beat them last time. Again, they now have Jesse Lingard, who's playing well. But I'm just hopeful that their form will drop off like most of us are expecting it. It may not happen, but we're expecting a West Ham drop off eventually, even though they have been very solid this time.
Is that West Ham game at the Emirates or the London Stadium?
London Stadium.
Oh, that's good then. Lingard won't score.
We beat them 1-0 at the Emirates with a very late, about an 84th minute goal. That Ceballos assisted Eddie Nketiah.
I remember that.
This was about 1 week after they apparently had a scrap, so they celebrated by hugging each other and saying everything was all right. So that was fun.
I remember
I don't expect to see Eddie Nketiah really play for Arsenal nearly ever again, to be honest. I think we're going to sell him in the summer and he'll be gone.
I thought he was going to be better than Sarko, but
there's just something about him. He's not top quality, and he may not even be Premier League quality, if I'm being honest. All he is a poacher, and I know he's England's top goal scorer, but he took that record from Alan Shearer and Francis Jeffers, and he is definitely more like Francis Jeffers. I could see him going to a championship team, and if he can get a run of games in a championship team, then maybe he'll develop well, but I just don't see his future being at us the same way. I see him going, and I see Lacazette leaving in the summer.
Let me ask you a question, actually, Willie. Just in regards to your thoughts on Maitland-Niles, I actually thought he was doing really, really well. Now, I don't watch a lot of Arsenal that much, so I'm not entirely sure, but my thought was that he was doing really, really well. But obviously that wasn't the case because you got rid of him.
We discussed this actually, William. We actually discussed. I really don't know why he pushed for Lomov to play centre midfield. Like, I don't know. I just don't think he is a midfielder.
It's in his head. He's just. I'm going to say stubborn. He's very stubborn on the fact that he wants to play as a midfielder. And to be frank, he doesn't have the discipline, which kind of sounds ironic when you're considering that he used to play in defence and he'd be a bit more disciplined. But he doesn't have that mentality. He just kind of wants to be like a glory hunter, and he just wants to be the midfielder that does everything, and he wants to be in the eyes of everyone. When he was playing with us as left wing back, he was very solid. He obviously was man of the match in the Community Shield. Got the England call up for that because also Gareth Southgate was playing 5 at the back, and it was like, well, we don't have many other people that can play left wing back, or he got that chance. And he was playing well, and most of the fans were like, give him the chance. And most Arsenal fans as well. It's weird. There's sometimes I really don't like our fan base based on they're very similar to United, and I'm sure similar to many other fans bases as well. It's very agenda driven at times with some players, and they don't see how they're performing in a whole. Whenever he's played in midfield, he's never actually played good enough to actually get the chance. But they're saying, he's never had the chances to. Once we changed to the 4 at the back, it was obvious I trust Arteta in the sense that I believe he sees what he sees in training, and he knows way more than any of us fans can properly. They can go out on the pitch and show it, or go on the pitch and play absolutely dreadful. Like, surely he must be seeing something out of a certain Brazilian we got from you. Who knows? But I have a different reason for that as well.
You see, look at Jack's face there.
It's actually, I think it's actually Brazilians, William, not Brazilian. It's plural, 2 Brazilians. Okay.
I wasn't sure he was talking about William then or David Luiz. I just thought both.
I'll be honest, right? So we changed the system to a 4. He really wants to play midfield. He's not good enough. When he gets the chance now at playing fullback for us, he doesn't want to play there, and he's no longer playing with like a chip on his shoulder. I felt like when he got the England call up, he was like, right, He was acting Billy Big Bollocks. Way too big for his boots. And when he eventually got his chance in the team again, because Tierney came out and he played left back that one game, he was absolutely dreadful. He felt off the pace. It was like he didn't want to be there. And it's weird. It's just, he isn't playing with, like, I know you can say happiness, and it shouldn't be happiness. You're going in there to do a job. Like Roy Keane would say, everyone that was smiling during the game, he used to hate that. But you have to have an enjoyment, and it feels like he just isn't enjoying it, and it's just not getting the best out of him.
Yeah,
that's how I feel, and he's definitely not good enough to be a midfielder for Arsenal, or even really in the Premier League. Like, I feel like you're gonna see only 1 or 2 good games from him out of Sam Allardyce, and if there's anyone that can make a hard-nosed, tough midfielder, it'll definitely be Big Sam in a relegation fight.
Is he playing in midfield?
Yeah, he absolutely butchered a 2-on-1 chance against United when he was running down the ring. All he had to do was cross it in for Ndiang to be in, and he sliced it and made it go wide. It was absolute, or it went straight into De Gea's hands. He had a nightmare. Plus, it was kind of his fault for not tracking back and getting on Bruno Fernandes for that goal to put a bit more pressure, because he's the midfielder. That is your man.
So what you're basically saying is, if I'm reading between the lines, is that Maitland-Niles makes Bruno better than he actually is because he's so rubbish.
No,
Actually incorrect.
Yes, I'm not going to sing too much about Bruno's praises, but I mean, if Man United didn't have him, they'd be 15th, and that's a stat if you take out his goals and assists, and that's saying something.
I think that's a fact more than a stat.
Yeah, the other interesting one. I know you're slagging David Luiz, but he's actually been really solid for us. That red card should not have been a red card against Wolves, and I feel like he's slowly but surely getting a bit of form. And I know as a rival fan and a person that used to have David Luiz, you're going to laugh. I'm actually thankful that we're giving him a new contract, more so for the behind the scenes. As he gets older,
I was going to say that
he's not going to be playing more and more. He's going to get less game time because we're probably going to sign another centre back in the summer once we've gotten rid of a few. Like Socrates is already gone, Mustafi's already gone. William Saliba will be coming back, so you'd expect him to get a few games. I'd expect him kind of nearly to get into the team straight away, given how he's playing at Lille.
Do you not think he's done after the comments about Arteta the other day?
No. I think he's being a young guy and he's speaking the truth. And I think Arteta will see that. He won't necessarily like that. But they'll discuss it. They'll understand why it happened. The whole Saliba situation, it was a problem by the club. We wanted to get him out on loan, and they left it too late in the summer. And that's unforgivable in a way, that for a club at this level or at any level in the professional game to leave it too late to loan out a player that needs more development, that you feel to actually leave it too late and actually then have him on your books and realize, oh God, we have this youngster who's obviously not in the best mental state. And then just how it's handled, obviously you didn't want him there. To actually leave it too late, then that was very poor by the higher echelon, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I don't
the way he was speaking to me, it sounded like, or I assumed that he's no intention of coming back.
It's hard to know. I think he'll come back because I just believe he will. If there was an intention to keep him away, there'd be an option to buy from the loan.
Yeah.
And there's no option. It was just a straight loan. So I feel like we see him as one for the future. And look, once he starts getting game time next season, then all these words will be forgotten.
Yeah.
I completely agree with your comment on... Sorry, Sean.
No work way. Yeah. I was just going to say... I
completely agree with your comment on David Luiz behind the scenes.
Yeah,
you probably agree with me here, Sean. Like he was such a good character to have around the squad. Some of the videos, if you go on YouTube and have a look at them,
I'd definitely rather have him there. If he's not playing games, I'd definitely rather have a Luiz there than a Mustafi. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No, I was just going to touch on Jennifer disagrees with the whole Maitland-Niles kind of situation, saying she doesn't think he'll make it in midfield and that, and she agreed with you, William, about like he doesn't seem to be playing with a smile on his face.
It's
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. It's like he lost his smile as soon as he got a call up from England, which, if anything, it should give you that bit more of an oomph to say, yes, I've made it. Now let's cement my role as someone that can be in that squad.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at different players once they've given their chance, you've talked about Mount at your club, he got his chance in the team. He absolutely took it with two hands. You look at Reece James, once he was given the chance, he was taking it with two hands. It's unfortunate in the way that Callum Hudson-Odoi is also taking his chance that it comes to the detriment to Reece James. But even at my club, then you can see Bukayo Saka, Emile Smith-Rowe. These players, once they were given that opportunity to come in, they're like, I'm not letting this go. This is my spot. Come out and take it. Oh, Smith-Rowe is one of my favorite players in this side. And if you've listened to the podcast, I was saying for ages and ages, it's like, give Smith-Rowe a chance. Even when we had Ozil, you're talking about back in September, October, it was like, we have that player that we're missing. It's Emile Smith-Rowe. And now he's finally got in there, and it's not just his end product. I mean, yeah, it can be better, but as for a youngster, like, he has 4 assists in his last 10 games. So to get 4 assists in that time, brilliant contribution for a youngster getting used to the Premier League again. It's not just that, it's his defensive work rate as well. He gets back, he does a bit of the dirty work, which I've got love in the team. And you're seeing a lot in the youngsters in terms of him, Saka, even Pepe now has started to, when he was playing, his defensive work rate, which was abysmal, has seriously picked up, and he started tracking back a whole lot more. And it just feels like the team is picking up in the right direction in terms of some of the players. And look, we still need a few more players. We need, even though I was praising him earlier in the season, recently again, his form's really dropped off. We definitely need a new right back. We need to replace Hector Bellerin, even if it's not getting rid of him to get, say, a backup. But then again, Cedric could possibly do the job, but I'm not certain because I've only really seen him at left back. So maybe get rid of him, get a good right back, and have him challenge with Cedric. We then need a second choice like left back. And even though he's old, and I know he's getting game time a bit older, I'd try and get Cresswell from West Ham, just as that challenge for Kieran Tierney. Now, whether or not he would go from one to the other, he's had an amazing season. And if you had the two of them, the competition between the two would be thriving, and you would not know. Because we have no second choice, say, left back. But in terms of Arsenal, we don't really do second choice. If you're the best in the position at that moment, that's your spot. Arteta has let it known throughout all his press conferences, nobody is guaranteed a starting spot.
Yeah. That'd be good competition. If those two are there, like Cresswell is a good player, and like I said, he's having a very good season. Like, but it's just whether, like, a kind of like, maybe at that age, maybe he will be looking like, oh, this is my last chance to get a move to a kind of a bigger side. Maybe he would take it, and he wouldn't care about the competition. Obviously, Tierney is a top player, and he'll have his work cut out to get into the team ahead of Tierney. But maybe he might jump at it, like
Tierney, I think, will be one for the future, and I think will be a future captain. But I mean, what age? Cresswell's about 30, so he has a bit more Premier League experience and can teach him one or two little things, and they can help drive off each other. Yeah.
Just before we move on to the next part of the show, actually, it's 1-1 in the Barcelona game. So the greatest footballer of all time put Barcelona 1-0 up. And then Leo Messi, and then maybe a future Ballon d'Or winner made it 1-1, and Mbappe scored a few minutes later. So it's 1-1 there in that game, and it's still 0-0 in the Liverpool game.
Maybe the only player to come close to Mason Mount is Mbappe.
Yeah. He could. He'll run down close for a Ballon d'Or, or like a couple of Ballon d'Ors actually, I'd say. So just when we're talking about like Premier League and kind of we're on about like Ole and Arteta and Lampard kind of going through their patches and struggling, like it seems like Ole and Arteta are doing well enough now. In your heads, I'll go to you first, Jack. If you had to kind of think of a Premier League manager, who do you think is like next to go? Who do you think would be next in line to go?
To be honest with you, at this moment, look, we know form changes so quickly. As I said before, Arsenal at the beginning of the season, were rubbish, and we were thinking Arteta was going to go. Then it kind of went to United, and then Ole was going to go. Then it went to Chelsea, and like obviously Frank did go. That's the way we operate. At the moment, it's around at Spurs, and I think Jose could be next to get the chop. I think I love him for what he's done, but like, there's no sentiment in football, is there really? And at the end of the day, you're only as good as your last performance. And I don't think he's up to. He's still a great manager, but he's a dinosaur in a certain way.
Yeah.
His tactical approach hasn't changed so much over the last few years. He's lost that. That pizzazz that he had when he was at Chelsea. Everyone loved him. What he was going to come out with next? It was funny. It was entertaining. But it's gone from
That
funny,
Real Madrid
entertaining. Yeah, he's just gone from funny and entertaining to grumpy and old and not the same man. He's gone. He's had a fantastic career. He's still got something to offer, but it's just Tottenham is a hard team to manage.
Daniel Levy will sack him and actually pay off his contract.
They put him on gardening leave for a while until he agrees to take a reduced amount of money, probably. I don't know. I know Daniel Levy is not renowned for giving away money, we'll say, and even maybe admitting he's made mistakes. But at the same time, he's a businessman, and the Spurs brand, and I just don't think he's doing a good enough job to warrant being where he is. Yeah, what's that? Someone eating a bag of pork scratchings or what?
No, I figured out it's Sean's mic.
All right.
Okay.
But
I muted everyone just for 2 seconds and see who it was.
He's renowned. He's a defensive manager by nature. The whole Park the Bus were born from Jose Mourinho almost, but he hasn't got good enough players at Tottenham in terms of defensive players to do that. You know, the prime Chelsea is when we used to defend and we were unbelievable, and like, you just couldn't score against Chelsea no matter what you did. We were just good, and Tottenham look frail at the back. They've got a spine of really, really good players. They've been poor in the transfer market. Like, you could look at the really lower teams, but like, if we're being honest, like, I think Jose Mourinho, he might last a season, maybe, but I don't think he'll go any further than that. Be surprised.
Yeah.
The top teams, I'd say so.
Yeah, like, obviously when you're looking at the bottom kind of teams, it'd be kind of like after seeing Newcastle the other day and kind of the quality had, like, you'd be kind of looking at maybe Steve Bruce might go, but like, in terms of kind of like the London clubs or even the bigger clubs, I agree, like, Mourinho is kind of the most likely to go, just with how like his personality and stuff. If things aren't going right, he's very liable to throw his ties out of the pram, and like, obviously with media stuff and that, like, he can get himself in trouble with the media and that, and it doesn't reflect good on him, and kind of it could start from there. Like, but like, even like last week, I seen, obviously Bale has been up to scratch. He's been very poor this year, but I seen him and Mourinho kind of disagreeing on the report that Bale gave, saying he was ready and trained and stuff. But like, Mourinho said that Bale kind of contradicted. He told Mourinho that he wasn't ready, but in public he said he was ready, and just stuff like that. You might start having a few arguments with players and that. Like, it's just kind of like leaving.
He's got to be careful though.
Yeah,
because he loves being in London. His family are in London. He wants to be in London, and this is his last opportunity to manage in London, unless he goes to Brentford. Actually, take that back. Brentford are absolutely on fire. Ivan Toney is going to be a Ballon d'Or winner
for them. So
maybe
Crystal Palace, actually.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now, Keane, who do you think could be next to go?
Well, first of all, I think when you look at the big London clubs, it's not going to be Arteta. The Arsenal will give him, I think, another year at least. It's going to be Jose Mourinho, isn't it, lads? Like, look, the man's finished. Me and Shane Dowdy warned these guys about this man. This man is finished at the top level. He fights with his players. There's a little honeymoon period when it looks like you're playing attacking football. And I just want to say, right, I'm going to get this off my chest because I said this already. That 6-1 flattered Tottenham so much Because the thing about it is, the United team had no pre-season and they went in and got smacked 6-1 by Spurs. But then Tottenham thought they were the best team in the league and they're going to win the league. And you seen the following week, then they drew 3-3 to West Ham. Now, West Ham are a good team this season, but when you look at Spurs, they're not a great side. They rely heavily on Kane and Son. Now, obviously, look, we can see United rely on Fernandes, but like every team has strong players. But when you look at Spurs' defense, it's so bad. And Jose Mourinho is meant to be a defensive manager. Surely he should be able to improve that defense. But he has no Rui Faria there with him to improve the defense. He was massive in terms of at Chelsea and even at United in his first season as well. When he had Rui Faria by his side from a defensive aspect, Mourinho's teams were always well organised. Since Rui Faria has left him, his defence went to shit at United. His defence went to shit. It's shit now at Spurs. So it's no coincidence. Maybe it was Rui Faria was the genius behind his defensive performances. When you look at Real Madrid, when you look at Chelsea, and you look at his first year at United winning Europa League, maybe Rui Faria was that man behind Mourinho's the so-called Mourinho masterclasses. The results speak for themselves in terms of when he left his side, Mourinho went south. When you look at his whole demeanour, it's like everyone else is wrong but Jose Mourinho. That can't be the same narrative at every single club. Eventually, you have to say he's finished at the top level. He is. And
what words, Keane?
Not strong, but they're true words. Like, let's say they win this Carabao Cup, right, against City in a one-off game. Does that put Jose Mourinho on the same trajectory as Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola? No, it doesn't. No. Like, Tottenham, at best, maybe finish fourth this year, maybe, but they've Europa League, so probably not.
They're not going to finish. No chance.
But I'm saying at best. I'm saying at best, fourth place would be a magnificent season for Spurs. This is nothing against the club Tottenham. I'm talking about Jose Mourinho now. So again, this is nothing about Spurs themselves. This is about the man Jose Mourinho. This man is finished at the top level. The best next step for him, I know Jack could talk about he likes living in London. He can still do that. He can just become the manager of Portugal. That's probably his next step, is become a manager of Portugal and only working a couple of times a year. He can still stay and live in London doing that.
That's a good shout.
Go around England. And he can go around England, watch the likes of Cancelo and Fernandes and Ruben Diaz. So, like, they'd be his best players of Portugal. Obviously, Ronaldo would probably be retired if he sees Mourinho coming back to manage him. I'd say Ronaldo will retire from international football with the sight of Mourinho. Hopefully, Bruno would follow suit and retire at a young age as well. He'd have Bruno playing centre-back. And Bruno probably still would score a couple of penalties for Portugal if he's playing centre-back. Like, when you consider Mourinho, I think international management would suit him down to the ground because it's a different style of football. It suits his Stone Age style of football, being at international level. And I think, again, he may want to win the Carabao Cup this season. And look, for Spurs as the club, right? For Spurs as the club, it's their first trophy in the new stadium. That's fantastic for them because that maybe develops a winning mentality in some of the players, like Harry Kane, Heung-min Son. Good for them to get a trophy because they deserve it. Like that. Let's take the rivalry aside with all of our clubs with Tottenham at the moment. Son and Kane deserve to win trophies. They're that good. Like, they're world-class players.
Can I just interject? And can I tell you the best way to describe Spurs? The best way to describe Spurs is they're Newcastle, but with Harry Kane and Son. That's all they are. That's all they are. They're Newcastle with two world-class players. That's what you get. You get false hope with a team like that. You think you're better than you are, but at the end of the day, you're just an average mid-table team with two good players.
Or man,
you took probably the words out of William Bryant's mouth with that statement there. But yeah, in terms of the other manager though, lads, I've went different in terms of it. So it's not Steve Bruce and it's not Arteta or anything like that. For me, it's Roy Hodgson at Crystal Palace. I think, like, look, they're on a bit of a downward spiral at the moment in terms of results. Their fans are starting to get sick of Roy Hodgson's style of play. Eddie Howe is available with the attacking talent like Eze, Wilfried Zaha, and Ayew and stuff like that. I think Eddie Howe would be the perfect fit to go in at Crystal Palace and get more out of that current squad that Roy Hodgson is. Even though Hodgson probably keep him up. Yeah, that's the thing. Well, hey, the English FA didn't think that, Jack, did they, after getting bet by Iceland?
I know, yeah. Well, he's just a lovable kind of guy, though. He's so old. Like, it's like sacking
Yeah.
your granddad, isn't it?
It's like when you
So
tell
bad.
your granddad, look, it's
not working out.
it's like thanks for the memories, but it's time to go, type of thing. Like,
Time to put you in a home.
yeah. But like, look, in all due respect to Roy Hodgson, I think he's done it. Like, considering where Palace were when he took over, like your man, what's his name, was it? There's two De Boers. Which one managed them? Was it Frank De Boer?
Frank, yeah.
Yeah, when he came in, they were like last in the league with no wins, and they're doomed to relegation. Roy came in and kept them up, and he steadied the ship. But they've talents there like Zaha, Eze, Ayew. Milivojevic is a good midfielder. They've experienced defenders such as Gary Cahill. So they do have a good players who can probably play a bit more expansive football. And I think maybe this is me because I like Eddie Howe, but I'd like to see Eddie Howe go in at Crystal Palace. So I'd hate to see Eddie Howe go to Newcastle and be run by Mike Ashley. Yeah. I'd absolutely hate that. I'd like to see Eddie Howe go to Crystal Palace and get a chance.
I love Roy Hodgson so much is because I think his very first manager job was my local team, Tunbridge Angels, they're called. They're like in the I don't know how you pronounce it, the Ismantium League or whatever it is. It's below the Vanarama South. Tunbridge. No, sorry. They're either in the Vanarama South or they're the league below. But he managed them when he first started out years and years ago. Like a long time ago. Anyway, that's just completely irrelevant. Sorry.
William, so are you in agreement with the rest of us, or have you a different shout?
In terms of the big teams, I would have said yes, Jose. Although something in me says it could still be Ollie. Just the way the United fan base is, and if he bottle top four, then yeah, he'll be gone. Whereas Jose's definitely got to next season. So there is that shout. In terms of the non-big teams, yeah, Steve Bruce, and I was actually going to say Crystal Palace, Roy Hodgson is probably one of the next ones to go, and the next one definitely in London. With the interesting one I'm going to ask about, Fulham and Scott Parker. Do you think he gets sacked if they go down again, given that he was given the chance in the Championship last time and he got him straight back up?
Yeah, I was thinking of that. Like I was like in terms of who's next, I think they're going to give him the full season. But if they do get sacked, I think he goes.
Yeah,
I think he goes.
No, I don't know. He's quite. I think he's quite looked at. I don't know too much about him, but he's looked on as a progressive young manager. Like who if he does go, what? I mean, maybe Eddie Howe, as you said, Keane. Who else out there is there at the moment that's worth bringing in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we always see the same managers talk their way back into jobs, like the likes of say.
Yeah.
I don't know, like it's managers. I think are just like they manage in every team in England. Like Tony Pulis and the guys, like they always seem to get jobs, no matter where they go. Like they could be sacked from 4 or 5 clubs, they still land another job, but you just don't know. Like, but yeah, I don't know if they go down. I'm not sure if they're going to be convinced on Parker, even though he did get him up. Like, but.
Hard to know, isn't it, really?
Yeah, very hard. But I do think he will definitely get the season.
Yeah. Okay, next.
Yeah. So yeah, like just we went through like the Premier League there with the like even the lower kind of clubs. Who do you think is next to go in that? But we can move on now because obviously tonight you have the Champions League is on there like right now and that. But obviously every one of our clubs is playing in European competitions. Arsenal United will be in the Europa League, and obviously, Jack, we have the novelty of being in the Champions League still.
Thursday night is where it's at. Thursday night is where it's at. Really.
Absolutely banging.
We'll go for the number. So the majority number. So we'll go with United maybe first. Obviously, you have a very tough draw, Keane, with Sociedad. I think they're a very good team, very well organised.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, like obviously dropping down to the Europa League from the Champions League, you think, we'll get like a few kind of like handy enough draws and we'll play a few of the younger players in that. But that's a fairly tough draw. What's your opinion on
David Silva running the
show
show there as well, isn't he?
Yeah. Do you think you get past Sociedad with kind of like the team that you're like people are kind of looking at putting it out for United? Like,
thing, but I said this earlier on the show. If we're most likely going to play our first team, like we'll play the likes of Bruno and Rashford. It's probably going to happen. I don't want to see it happen. I being honest with you, lads, I want United to take a back seat of this Europa League personally, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And United are going to prioritize. Ollie's going to prioritize the Europa League because he wants a trophy, but it's going to be to his detriment. So, like, look, for me, I think, look, Real Sociedad, even with our first team, lads, it's a hard game. They've players, the old likes the David Silva in there, who look, even at the ripe age of 36, he can still run the show. Like, he can still do it all. There's a former Manchester United player. We all remember him. His name's Adnan Januzaj. He'll have something to prove. He's going to have a massive, massive point to prove, and he's playing some stuff with Real Sociedad at the minute. So, and there's talks that United have a buyback clause as well. There's talks that coming out this week, even though, look, there's more chance of me signing for United than that happening. Do you know what I mean? I don't think United ever bring back Adnan Januzaj. Like, don't think that ship is well sailed, it's docked and everything. Yeah. But in terms that, like, I think it's tough to call because they're such a good side, and with Man United, even when we're playing well, you just don't know what United is going to turn up this season. And I'd like to say we'll win, but I think over the two legs, we could get knocked out in away goals. I kind of get that feeling that could happen when we get knocked out in away goals over two legs.
Tough game.
Yeah.
Tough game.
Very tough game. To be fair, like, yeah, for this stage of the Europa League, it's definitely very tough.
The one thing that will definitely help you is the fact that their winger Orifabal is supposedly out for the two legs, and that'll be a massive loss for him.
Yeah, he's a very good player. Very good player. Just touching on Arsenal then, the Europa League, William. Do you fancy them to go through and kind of get a run in it?
Yeah, I fancy us against Benfica. Obviously, when was it? 3 weeks ago, their whole team was riddled with COVID.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen, obviously, with only just Gabriel, even he hasn't been half the player since getting it as when he's come back, because he was our player 3 months running, and now he looks a little bit shaky, especially at the start of games. Honestly, again, as I said earlier, I don't watch a lot of Portuguese football to my detriment, maybe, but honestly, I fancy us to go through. What I would like is for us to go out there, play a strong team on Thursday, get it kind of done in the first leg and leave nothing kind of behind, get off to a good start, get a few goals, and hopefully then we can rest a few in the second leg, which will be like next week, before we go on to face Leicester. Because I feel like we're not throw away the game against Man City, but we're not going to beat Man City. So we may as well play a strong enough team. You've seen a few of the players get rested who I thought would have come in. Like, I'm feeling we're going to see Pepe come in on the left wing. I think it's still too early probably for Tierney and Partey to start, unfortunately, from what I was reading. If they were in, then perfect, but they won't be. So you'll see, like, I wouldn't be surprised to see El Nene actually come in instead of Granit Xhaka. Maybe give Xhaka a rest for the City game. You'll see Smith Rowe or Odegaard. I think Smith Rowe will start because he came off in the 60th minute.
Yeah.
So therefore, they gave him a bit more rest so he can play on Thursday, whereas Odegaard got the full 90. And again, I understand that's through management getting game time into his legs for the new team, but I feel like Smith Rowe will start more so.
Yeah.
I hope to not see Willian. But look, you never know. And I think Aubameyang will keep his spot, even though I think he originally rested Lacazette to give him the game time on Thursday. I think after you score a hat-trick, how can you get dropped?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah. No,
Poor man. He's like, oh, here's my rest. I get to play on Thursday. Then you see your rival for that position score a hat-trick and think, great, when am I going to get back in again?
Yeah.
That's football, and that's what you want.
Yeah, no, competition is very good. It's healthy for the team. Like, just going on to Champions League then, Jack. Obviously, to be honest with you, I think it's the toughest draw we could have got at Atletico Madrid.
Not confident one bit.
Yeah, last year obviously we kind of let slip in the group stage, came second, so we were bound to get the tougher draw at Munich. This year, top in the group, but I said, like, hopefully we'll get kind of a bit of a nicer round of 16 draw, get straight to the quarters, and a bit of progress, kind of no experience for the players going into next year and that. But obviously the Atletico Madrid game is tough. But like, I think it's very possible that we do go through. Like, they're not streets ahead of us, and they're beatable. They're just going to be very stubborn, I think. But
They're always very stubborn to play against. Very difficult.
Yeah, and like, at least there's one thing. My favorite Atletico Madrid player is out. Actually, Jimenez. He's out for the first leg, and obviously João Felix. He recovered from COVID. He went back into training today, but you're kind of hoping maybe he's not up to his usual standards because he's a very good player. But if we can show the organisation that we've shown the last few games under Tuchel and kind of have that game plan and like try and take control of the game, because obviously Atletico are kind of known for sitting back. Hopefully, even if you can nick a result away from home, with the first leg being away, you could get through there. I think like it's not impossible, and I think if we do get past Atletico, anything is possible then. But like it is a very tough game. What's your opinion on it?
Be honest with you, it pains me to say it, but if it was Lampard in charge, I would say we'd have no chance.
Yeah.
I'm still not wholly confident, but I think with the way we've been playing lately, that we definitely have a chance. There's this part of me that wants us to concentrate thoroughly on the league this year and cement our top position. I want us to improve. I'd be delighted with a third place or a second place finish.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's beyond the realms of
not at all.
Impossibility with the way Liverpool have dropped completely off. United are on a bit of a patchy form at the moment. Tottenham are just Newcastle. I actually think it all rests on the first leg and getting that away goal. If we get that away goal, bringing it back to the bridge, if it's close, if it's 1-0 or 1-1, even 2-1 Atletico, I'm confident going back to the bridge that we can turn any team over.
Yeah.
So look, it's interesting. It's going to be fun to be back into the group stages, but it's also going to be fun to be in the group stages with a fairly good squad in good run of form, and not just being there to make up the numbers. What it has felt like for last year, anyway, specifically. Yeah,
kind of like the last time we kind of made good progress was on the Mourinho when we got to the semis. Like when we said Atletico knocked us out that time. The only what's kind of giving me doubts about beating Atletico and kind of going far in the Champions League is I don't think we have a number 9 up to the level of getting you over the line to win the Champions League. That's what I think is leaving us down. Obviously, Werner is a very good player, but I don't think he's a proper 9. He's obviously he's playing in that kind of 10 role now, and I don't think Tammy or Giroud are going to win you the Champions League, but they'll always give it an honest effort. But I think that's what might catch us out. I think we get plenty of chances against them. You've seen it. I know, the Liverpool team last year were unbelievable, but they got, I think it was 28 or 29 shots on Atletico in that game. I know they were beaten, but All Blacks in goal. But it's possible to create the chances, but I'm just not sure we're going to put them away. That's the only thing. In the last couple of games. Yeah,
we're able to create the chances, but it's putting them away is the problem. And we do have a lot of quality in and around the midfield area and the wide areas. We've a lot of players that can get in behind players and turn teams over, but it's just that final ball. It's just that decision making at the very end. There was yesterday watching the game when Callum Hudson-Odoi had the ball when he came in and he got in well, but he just took one more touch than he should have done.
Yeah.
And if you remember, and it went straight across the box, because when he stopped, the other players stopped, Werner and that stopped. They didn't carry on the run, and that completely ruined it. So it's just little attention to detail in terms of, that final pass, that final positioning of the strikers or the wingers or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think we're close, but look, it's going to be a good game. I'm glad we're in the Champions League. I'm glad. Look, we could have been a lot worse, but it could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
And I want us to give a good account of ourselves. Look, if we get beat, we get beat. Fair enough, but I want us to give a good account of ourselves. I don't want us to be embarrassed.
Yeah, I think it's like I said, it's not a very nice draw for the personnel that we have, but if we could manage to get past them, I think over 2 legs, if most of these teams, say for example your PSGs or Barcelona's or your Dortmunds, if you can be well organised and have a solid structure at the back, if you have someone like Timo Werner there, I think it's very possible to turn teams over on counters over 2 legs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very possible. Yeah. But Atletico obviously are probably
Very
the
good
exception,
defensively, yeah.
exception to that, where they're not going to really go forward and allow a lot of space in behind for like Werner and that. But again, some of the teams that come at you, if you can hold them, keep them at bay, and hope for a few counter attacks and just kind of nip the, like away goals, it's very possible. Especially
we've been good. We've been good at the back lately. We've one goal since Tuchel took over. The three at the back. I mean, that's, if you think about it, that's Antonio Conte formations when we was really, really good. You know, I love Azpilicueta in the back three. I think he is tailor made for that. I prefer him there than I do out on as a right back or a right wing. I love him in a central differential, because if you remember the first season under Conte, he was just unplayable. He was so good. No, I know he's a lot older now, but he's so solid, and we need that kind of player at the back. So definitely. I think, look, who knows? We'll see. We'll come on next week and we'll have depending on the results, we'll come on next week and have a chat about it.
Yeah.
We might go missing.
It should be an interesting game anyway. I think it'll be cagey, but it should be interesting. And hopefully we can get through. Hopefully we can get through it. Obviously, just staying on the European competitions, Champions League and Europa League, we can just give predictions really on who we think is going to go on and win it and who's going to finish top scorer, and then just tell something interesting in it in each competition. Which English club do you think is going to go furthest? So obviously we can start off with the Champions League, the bigger of the two competitions. Like, it's not often, like last year I did predict from the very start Munich would win it, and it's not often that I'd say a club is going to win 2 in a row, but I can't look past them again this year. Obviously Liverpool dropped off, and City are very good in the league, but they still have that bit of doubt over them in Europe, whether they can go all the way. And Munich still look very solid. I know they've lost Thiago, but Kimmich has been unbelievable in midfield again. And anyone that has Lewandowski up front is in with a shout winning a Champions League. Like, wingers there, top notch. You've Coman, Gnabry, and then you've Sané added this year. So yeah, I can't look past Munich to win it out. So I'm going to tip them. And then, as much I love Haaland, I think he's gonna win more Ballon d'Ors than anyone in the next couple of years. And obviously he has 6 goals. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. Yeah, that's the number 9 that I'm like thinking when I say like can win you a Champions League. Like, but yeah, he has 6 goals there now, and I think Lewandowski's only on 3. But I just think that Munich are going to go further than Dortmund, and Dortmund are up against Sevilla, who are a very tough nut to crack. Like Haaland, I don't seem like having a field day against them with how they set up and how they're organised. Munich have Lazio.
One day versus Haaland is going to be a good matchup. That is going to be a good watch.
It's going to be very good to see. Yeah. So I don't know if Haaland is going to run right in that, and then Lewandowski is against Lazio. Lazio are a bit more open at the back. If he can kind of nip 1 or 2 goals in this round, and I think Munich will go a lot further than Dortmund. I think Lewandowski will make up the numbers, and I think he'll finish top scorer this year. And then out of the English clubs, I'm just going to go for Man City to go furthest, just because of the draw they're after getting. Obviously, easy draw again. Well, it's not easy. There's no easy teams in the Champions League, but it's a favourable draw. Yeah, and obviously we've gotten 11 ago, and Leipzig is a tricky enough fair, but how Liverpool are playing at the moment, you just don't know, and like they're not going to have Van Dijk back in time for the end of the Champions League, really. So I can't see them doing much in Europe without him. So yeah, I go Munich, Lewandowski, Man City. Keane, I'll go on to you next. Champions League.
I'm going to go with Man City to win the Champions League. I know it's like, they always bottle it in Europe, but I think this season they've hit a whole other level in the last couple of months. Their midfield has played exceptionally well, and they're actually nearly a better team without De Bruyne, which is crazy to say.
It's weird. Yeah,
it's crazy. It's unbelievable, isn't
he? Yeah,
he's they playing like his like the same way he was when he was with Dortmund. Remember when he was like at that box to box midfield player in 2012-13? Like he was pacey. He used to like spray passes, break into the box, and so in like a Frank Lampard-esque kind of role. Do you know? I'm not saying that just to blow smoke up both your arse, like, you know, like in terms that like you can see how he's making late runs into the box, he's scoring goals. What other midfield player done that in the Premier League on a consistent basis? Frank Lampard, do you know, or Yaya Toure, 2 midfielders in that ilk, you know. And look, if he keeps playing the way he is, and then like look, when Sergio Aguero is just back fit now, like you have him to come back, and if he can start scoring goals, people in Champions League are in trouble. Like they're in big trouble, as Mourinho would say. And look, Ruben Diaz and John Stones have been exceptional at the back. As of late, Cancelo at right back's been very good. They have a very capable right back in Kyle Walker who can come in and do a job. They've Zinchenko on the left, Benjamin Mendy. They've pairs for every single position, and Laporte as well. So like, look, the options are ridiculous. And look, I think if there's any year for Pep to do it, it's this season. Obviously, with no fans being there, City don't have any anyway, so there won't be any added pressure. But like in terms of going away from home and going to like obviously other hostile environments, they won't have that to worry about either. So I think City beat Bayern Munich in the final, and that's the prediction I'm going to make now. City Bayern final, City win it. Top goal scorer in the competition will be Lewandowski. I do agree with Sean. I think they will progress further in Dortmund, even though I said on my interview with the Norwegian journalist Alias today, I said that Erling Haaland is the human version of a cheat code, like as a striker. He is, like, that's literally what he is. He's such a great player. So look, he's a player who maybe I think could end up moving to City in the future because Aguero nearly finished, and his father used to play for City. I think me and Sean, we were discussing this the other day off camera. It's written in the stars that he goes. It's written in the stars, really. In terms, obviously, who goes farthest, it's obviously going to be City because they're winning the thing. So, for the Champions League, I'm going to go with Man City to win, Lewandowski to be top goal scorer, and obviously because they win it, they're the farthest team. Yeah.
I don't know, fair prediction. Yeah, it's like obviously City and Munich can be right up there, like both of those teams. So it's a fairly good shout. William, I'll go to you next.
It's going to be partly controversial in some of it. I'm going to predict that all three English sides are going to qualify for the next round. I think Chelsea will scrape past Atletico Madrid, maybe on away goals. I think Liverpool will knock out Leipzig by a single goal. And I think Man City will steamroll. Then in the next round, I have a feeling it'll be either Man City, Chelsea, or Chelsea, Liverpool. I think you're going to see an all-English side.
Yeah.
And that's when then one of them is going to get knocked out. I have a feeling Chelsea might just get knocked out by one of the other two. The only reason I fancy Liverpool to go a bit further is it's just something about the Champions League and Liverpool that they always manage to step up their game. And it could just be a good distraction for what's happening currently in the Premier League. You can often see it when teams aren't performing that good in the Premier League. They'll come out into the cup competition and think, right, we perform here. And I think they will do well. And I can see both Man City and Liverpool getting to the semi-finals, but being on opposite sides of the draw. And Man City will face like Bayern Munich, and Liverpool will face
maybe a PSG or something, or
PSG, Barcelona, or Juventus.
I'd love to see Pochettino knock Liverpool out, lads. That'd be fantastic.
I think Barcelona will knock out PSG. I think they'll get away UEFA Lona, They'll manage to find a way. But I'd say Juventus will get there and face Liverpool. And then I'm going to say a Bayern Munich Juventus final with Bayern Munich winning.
Munich winner, so
I think it's a year though that yes, Munich are playing quite well and City are playing quite well, but you can't actually knock any team's chances. It feels like anyone can get a good a good run at. Like, it's an unconventional season.
Yeah, and like I was saying, like obviously Munich are kind of a standout team, and like City are there as well. But it's apart from the two of those, it's the 1 year where the rest of the teams, I can't say one team is better than the other. Like it's a weird season with no fans and COVID and everything, so you just don't know.
That's why I say as well Juventus, because I feel like Ronaldo might actually be able to properly pick them up and drag them through a few rounds.
Yeah, you're talking about Ronaldo there. Do you think he'll be anywhere near your top scorer, or who are you going to go for?
I think he'll be up there with a chance, but like I just think Lewandowski and Bayern Munich on their way to getting through to the final will have a nice amount of goals in them to face whoever they play. I think they'll get through and just have fun with goal scoring, and Lewandowski will get the goal.
Yeah, usual Munich. Yeah. And then obviously City and Liverpool have gone the same distance in your prediction. Then.
Yep.
Yeah. So last but not least, Jack.
It's really hard to call this year. Really hard to call. Something says to me, I don't know what it is, that PSG might go on and take it this year. You can't really rule out Bayern Munich. I mean, they've been the best team in the world. Well, arguably Liverpool as well, obviously, but they've just looked unplayable, unstoppable. It's just something about, I don't know what it is. I have this feeling that PSG, if they don't win it, they're going to go far. What happened?
Are Liverpool out scoring?
Guess.
Yeah, Mo Salah, 1-0 Liverpool.
Oh, lovely. I think Liverpool are going to win it, and I think Mo Salah's going to be the top scorer. No, I'm not convinced with Man City. I think they're just not made for Europe. They're not good enough. They have no experience, really, other than the last 4 seasons. They can fit their whole team and their fans on their coach. Top scorer, I can't even call it. It's hard. Obvious choices: Lewandowski,
Mason Mount.
Mason Mount. Like Oliver Giroud to have one final swan song before he goes.
He's up there
somewhere else. Look, I'm gonna just go with my first instinct was Paris, and I'm gonna say Mbappe hat-trick in the final to take him over the line as top scorer. Mason Mount second top scorer. Really hard to know, isn't it? It's really hard to know. I don't know.
Yeah. In terms of the English clubs, who do you think is going to go furthest, Jack?
I could literally just pop 3 in a hat and pick one, and I don't know. I think Liverpool will probably do okay. Although they've been on a bad run of form, let's just not forget how good they have been, and that team is still there. I know they're missing some key players, but that team is still there. I think they'll do okay. All jokes aside, the Man City, I think that they're the team they're the team at the moment that's in the best form. They've played unbelievable. They're back to their way they were when they were just unstoppable before the kind of little Liverpool thing, before they fade back into, talking about their history and whatever. I'll probably go Man City on that one.
Yeah,
I don't think we're strong enough just yet.
Yeah, and just how they fare with draws, they just always seem to get favourable draws every round. Every competition.
That's it. You don't know. I mean, I know they draw the champion. After the quarters who you're going to play to the final to get there. So you just don't know what way it goes. You're saying Bayern Munich final with, I don't know, Man City, but they could draw each other next. And then it's 2 of the best teams gone before you get to the final.
Last year was on one side. Who did Atalanta draw? They drew
Atalanta, PSG, Leipzig, and
Atletico.
Yeah, I think so. Something like that. That was the one side, and then the other side you had Barcelona, Bayern Munich,
Chelsea.
Yeah,
Man City, Lyon.
I just think
what happened in that game.
I just think we
got a bit of an old spank in that game.
When they made the draw, on one side, there was some of the teams there, you had Atalanta and Leipzig, and if they'd managed to scrape past the one-legged tie against one of the bigger sides, you could have had an Atalanta Leipzig semi-final, like you're saying. You just don't know what way the draw is going to go, and if Chelsea were on, if they got past Atletico, and they could be on the easier side of the draw, and you could have your Munich and City on the other side. Chelsea could easily go further than the City, or Liverpool could go further than City. You just don't know,
I think we should have this conversation again when we know what the quarters and the semi-finals draw is.
Yeah.
I think it'd be I'm sure we won't be talking about 3 English teams, but anyway.
Yeah.
The rain is baiting off the fucking window here, lads. Jesus Christ.
Obviously when the rain there, we're going to get into more depressing talk now with the Europa League. Who do you
What is that?
I don't even
What's-
know who's in the Europa League, so don't even
Some
ask me.
brilliant teams. Like you've got
I'm gonna have to
Arsenal,
Google it.
you've got
Napoli-
Arsenal, United, Leicester, Napoli, AC Milan,
Sociedad.
Roma, Villarreal, Tottenham.
Sociedad, yeah. Did you
two.
throw Tottenham in there, William?
Tottenham.
Newcastle, you mean?
No, just like actually, like you said there, it's like I knew there was a good few handy teams in the Europa League, but kind of like goal scorer wise, I had to do a bit of like kind of looking into it today. But they're going to laugh at this. Like my prediction of who I think is going to win the Europa League, I actually think Arsenal. That's why I went for out of all the teams there, just with the position they're in the league. Kind of
Look at him flirting with Willie.
no offense, William, but I just don't think.
Sean.
I don't
Thank
think that. I don't think that Arsenal have much of a chance at top four, and I think over two-legged games, I just think that Arsenal, like the way Arteta sets up, and like I know you said, like we said earlier on, he had the bad run of form in November and stuff, but like lately the way he sets up would suit two-legged ties, and I think there's a lot of teams in it that to Liverpool, and he said, yeah. I just think that there's a lot of teams in it that Arsenal could overturn with the way they play, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him go all the way if Arteta, if like the Champions League could be on the line with Europa League. Like it started the tournament, I was kind of like looking at Tottenham with Mourinho kind of wanting to win the trophy and that, but I just don't think they're good enough. Like Jack said, if Kane or Son are missing the game, they're in big trouble. Like
It's the one draw I definitely want to miss, though.
yeah,
Don't give me an North London derby in Europa.
Yeah, but that's different though, isn't it? Like that's a cup final every game. There's more to it than just the like you wouldn't count them games, but I think you're a better team than Tottenham, to be honest. You're still pretty
I think so
poor,
too.
but
Look, give us United in the semis.
yeah, they're born to fail, aren't they, United?
I'm not taking the bait, William.
Yeah, no, just stop Spurs winning their first major trophy since the Audi Cup, and I'll be happy. Like just don't leave them win.
Imagine what they'll bring out if they win the Carabao Cup after bringing out a DVD for the Audi Cup.
Did you see what
they have their mini mug saying they're already finalists. So.
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah.
Lads, let's go through this scenario actually, lads. Do you know if they lose the Carabao Cup, what DVD they can bring out this season? The 6-1 at Old Trafford.
Daniel Levy's got to make money somehow.
Yeah.
It ain't off entertaining football anyway. We can be sure.
No, 100%. Yeah. And in terms of goal scorer, I said I had to research this. I had to look into it, kind of who has what goals and that. But a player that I actually really like and plays with an attacking team in the Europa League is Leon Bailey. He's on 5 goals there. Obviously, he's a winger. Leverkusen are playing young boys in this round, and I think Leverkusen are always the team that has a lot of goals in them. I think the top scorers at this stage of the competition, I don't think there's going to be like too much of a change between now and the end of the year. Like kind of like they're all in 5 or 6 goals each. I think if one of those players kind of can manage 2 or 3 more goals, they might pip top scorer. I think Bruno Fernandes won it last year with 8 goals. I think I'm not quite sure if that's right now, but I said I tip Leon Bailey. Plenty of goals on that Leverkusen side in a favourable draw in this round. And then obviously the furthest English team, like I said, is Arsenal, because I think Arsenal are going to win it. I'll go on to Jack next, since Jack kind of had the finale for the Champions League one last time. What are your predictions for the Europa League, Jack?
Look, genuinely, I don't think I've ever really thought about for quite a while the Europa League. So, look, I do. I think the English teams are always there or thereabouts. They are the strongest teams, in terms of the majority of the teams. I know that there are some banana skins along the way. The Rio Sociedad one, Leverkusen are really, really work good. Even Villarreal. I fancy United to go further than Arsenal. I think, as Keane said earlier, they're going to play to win this competition. They're not going to field, their second string players. I don't even know. Look, I don't really know too much about the competition. Who's in it? Who's playing well at the moment? So look, I'm going to say, I don't know, just Bruno Fernandes, 15 penalties,
and United win.
And United. I think United will be in the final. I think they'll get to whether they'll win it or not, I don't know. But look, I think they'll be there or thereabouts.
Yeah. So Keane, what do you think of that? Do you think United are going to go far in it? What are your predictions?
I possibly think United will get knocked out in away goals by Real Sociedad. I suppose I kind of have to stick by that prediction. But in saying that, if we do knock them out, we'd be after knocking out one of the best teams in the competition. Look, they're a very good side, and like when we drew them, they were top of La Liga. So I was thinking, shit, like, do you know what I mean? This is very, very tough draw. They were unbeaten in the season at the time we drew them. And obviously, Oyarzabal, who was one of their best players, so look, for 2 legs, as William said. So look, we could knock them out. We just don't know. In terms of winning it, I will say United, but if not United, I think AC Milan. I think they've been playing really good this season. They're resurgent. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is like a fine wine, getting better with age. And wouldn't it be just great that, imagine if AC Milan win the competition, that Shamrock Rovers pushed AC Milan in the qualifying rounds, and a man from Carrick and Shore, Lee Grace, had a great performance against Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
How bad? Good thing to remember and tell the grandkids.
Yeah, 100%. See a comment in there from Amy saying they should just give us United the trophy if you can pass the spin. Obviously meaning like about not being able to win the finals, but if you get past that, it should be good.
United tend to pull it out of the bag.
Who do you think is going to be top scorer, Keane? I
was looking at top goal. I forgot to look at top goal scorers today, and I was looking at it right now. Obviously, you've Afonso Fernandez, who's actually the top goal scorer, and at the moment they're playing against Arsenal from Benfica. He's on his with 6. Sean lagging out there, is he, lads?
I tell you, who to keep an eye on is winger for AC Milan, Jean-Pierre Hogg. So he's from Norway as well, the same as Haaland. He's one of that batch coming up through. Very, very good young player, but I think he has 5 in the competition already as well.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now, and I'm looking either Alfonso Fernandez and Benfica if they knock Arsenal out, or as you said, Leon Bailey. I can't really see past him. He's a great, great player. Player who I actually said United maybe should look out. They didn't get Sancho last summer. But again, look, he's a great player. Like Leverkusen are a very good team too. He could maybe get there. Or like you have Paco Alcar from Villarreal, who's on 4 goals. He's a prolific striker as well. So like when you go down, like Arsenal's top goal scorer in the competition, if they're going to go far, is Joe Willock.
What? I really thought it was Pepe.
Let me have a look. No.
Is Pepe on?
Pepe's on 3 goals. Joint top goal scorer Willock.
Yeah.
So like, you never know. But I'll go Leon Bailey as well, Sean, in terms of top goal scorer.
Very interesting.
Sean,
he's enjoyed that fact anyway.
He just looks so disgusted there. He's just like,
he's
had enough.
Look, he'll try log back in, but I suppose I may as well talk about the Europa League since that was where it was going to next.
So
I think we have a chance. I'm a bit obviously. I feel like we'll get further than we did last year after the shock against Olympiacos. So I think that will sting Arteta, and he'll play it a bit more smarter. He'll have a bit more experience now, and I think we will get further. The one thing that worries me is our record in European finals. So even if we make it that far, we never seem to win it in the final.
Did we beat you recently? What was that?
I will not be confident for another final again after being so confident about the Europa Bloody League final. I lost 20. I lost like 10 or 20
Hazard's last game.
Day. Yeah, Petr Cech's last game before going back to Ye, and we were worried about his performance. He was our man of the match.
We gave you a good 10 in that game.
Look, honestly, I'd obviously like to get. I'm not even joking when I say this. I'd like to get Man United in the draws in the future because you haven't even scored against Arteta's Arsenal. So going against 2 leg, we just seem to have your number. So it's a draw that I wouldn't mind getting. in the future. Look, if it happens, we'll see. We have to get down through our games next. I think
Confidence of a man that's down
will.
a confidence for a man who was down at lower down the table.
Yeah, true.
We'll
We're lower down the table, but may I repeat, in the last 10 games, we have 20 points. In the last 10 games, you have 19. In the last 5 games, you have 5 points.
You're
in the last 5 games, we have 7. 2 games this season, 1-0, 0-0. Do that in Europa League, we qualify.
How many games? How many points has Chelsea got in the last 5 games?
Probably 15. I'm assuming that's all Tuchel.
All Tommy T, yeah?
Yeah. Look, I think he's doing a good job. I've said it in the group chat as well. I personally think Chelsea are going to win the FA Cup this year. I've just got that feeling in terms of that one. But in terms of the Europa League, as we were on, look, I'm going to back our team. Whether or not we do it in the final, we'll see. The other teams, nobody's really talking about Leicester. And they're a very solid team this year that could possibly go far in terms of the way that they can defend, very solid. Jamie Vardy on the counter-attack, suiting Europe, get the away goal, defend well, try and get the counter-attack with Jamie Vardy, with Maddison playing in through balls. They have a real chance. Other than them, then you've obviously got Napoli in terms of Napoli, AC Milan, Villarreal, again, all solid teams. Personally, though, I wouldn't mind playing Napoli because we knocked them out in the quarterfinals, I think, the year we played Chelsea. We knocked out Villarreal in the semi-finals. So if we got either of them, I'd have good omens about playing them in the Europa League. I'd have good memories. So I'd be hopeful in terms of that. Leverkusen would be tough. AC Milan would be tough. Look, there's many good teams. I'm still going to back my own team, though, and say that, look, we can do it and we'll win it. In terms of top goal scorer, let's just for the laugh say Nicolas Pepe. I think he shows up on Thursdays. It's weird. He gets lots of goals on Thursday nights where he wasn't in the other games.
Shame the UEFA Cup finals on a Saturday, then, isn't it?
Yeah, I know that would be the shame. If not him,
it will be on a Wednesday though, wouldn't it? Anyway,
if you look at them, Dries Mertens for Napoli, I think give them a few games. If they get a good run, he's a very good shout. And then you can also never doubt Zlatan Ibrahimovic. If they go far, he'll constantly score a few goals as well. And then you've also got possibly Jamie Vardy if they go far.
Yeah, look, I think Leicester are a bit of a dark horse, definitely, and they have the style of football to win a cup competition. Look, I think they could knock us out of the FA Cup. To be fair, we've them away from home as well, so they're a great side. We've just lost Sean there, so look, with regards to that was our last actual topic of the night in terms of the Europa League and Champions League and the winners. We've all have different choices, and to be fair, they're all very, very viable. Now, obviously, look, I don't really have any faith in my club either, so that's me looking at the Premiership. That's my kind of priority. But look, in terms of this, it's a very good show. We're on at 1 hour and 52 minutes. It's kind of zoomed by. Didn't even realize we're on it that long. So very good show. Sean dropped out. So look, do catch Sean on Twitter at Sean Dowley 12. He'll keep you updated with all the London Lowdown content, as well as further guests coming on London Lowdown. Sean has a lot planned, so do check him out there. Tomorrow we are live on our United show tomorrow, Devil's Advocate, where I'm joined by Shane, that's a normal podcast regular, Amy from She Devils United, and our all-women show, Three Devils and a Gooner, and we're also joined by Chris from the Football Agenda, where we will be looking at United's game against Real Sociedad in depth, and also looking ahead to the summer transfer window as well, because that is massive there as well. And also the MMA show is back this week as well. I'm joined by Cuiha Dabara, where we from an MMA outlet, and we will be talking all things MMA as well, so do catch that as well. And as always, Three Devils and the Gooner will be back next week too, and that show covers all things Premier League as well as Manchester United and Arsenal, so do catch that. And also look, catch Jack at his handle on Twitter at Jack Clemson, and also catch William. He does the @ sign isn't there, but it's at Willie Chili Brody on Twitter as well for any Arsenal related tweets, and at Jack Clemson as well for any Chelsea related tweets, and the odd reply to a celebrity, but that's kind of Steve's role at DJ Steve McGrath. But That's it. That's the London Lowdown here this evening. I do thank anyone who's bared with us for the 2 hours for the show, especially for the Champions League. Absolutely fair play to you. And thanks to everyone for the comments as well who've been in the comments tonight. And again, as I said, do subscribe to the channel. Plenty of content to come. We cover all things Premier League. And look, thanks to the 2 lads, and thanks to Sean for hosting as well tonight as well. I think his internet was dropped because the rain is absolutely battering outside. If you're watching the UK or you're watching in Ireland, here in Clonmel, it's probably the same in Carrick. The fucking rain is baiting off the window and the wind is fucking mad out there. So, look, that's probably what's after happening with him. So, thanks so lads for coming on. And look, we'll be back tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. So make sure you tune in. Cheers.
See you, lads.
Have a good one.